think ourselves as the innovators in coming out with kind of the newest and greatest that's out there, as far as entertainment goes, and we definitely don't hold back when it comes to entertaining our guests.
That's unbelievable. I'm thinking of these like athletes that you guys contract to do these shows, and it's just like, I bet a tightrope walker and a figure skater and a diver never thought at the beginning of their career that they'd work on a luxury cruise ship. That is really a crazy trajectory for a figure skater. That's pretty amazing.
It really is. Honestly, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, if you're a figure skater and you pour, age 10 to 18, figure skating, you age out around what? In your early 20s? Like, if you're lucky. So what do you do for the rest of your life? I guess I never really thought about it, but this is an option for those people should they want to continue to skate. They at least could do so on a ship, which is super interesting. I actually saw one of the ice skatings at sea on a royal ship, and I text my wife and I was like, you'll never believe what I'm doing. I'm watching ice skating.
Hi, everybody. We have on a very cool guest today, Frank Robleto Jr. He is the corporate sales manager at a very, very small, super tiny cruise line. You've probably never heard of it before. Royal Caribbean Cruises. Anybody? Frank, hi.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here with you all. And it's a very tiny company. Yes, Royal Caribbean International.
Small.
Very small.
Very small. Ever heard of it? Very niche. Oh my gosh. So let's, before we jump into anything else, I want to talk activities on a cruise ship, because I heard you and Kenny play pickleball, which is just like taking over the world right now. Is pickleball going gangbusters on cruise ships or what?
It is, it's the fastest growing sport out there from what I've heard. And I think that's true. Kenny, you can let me know if that is correct, but I believe it is the fastest growing sport out there. That's right. What's interesting is our one of our VPs of sales, actually, she was all gangbusters about pickleball as well when it first started, I think, getting really popular. And we, brought it out on one ship, then on two ships, and it is now found on all 26 of our ships. And the plan is to continue to have it on every single ship that comes out in the future. So even on some of our ships, so pickleball is located actually. So for those who maybe have never sailed before, or for those of you that have, if you remember, we do have a basketball court outside. On all of our other ships, we have a basketball court. It's outside. And so what we did was we, of course, now have two courts on that basketball court where we utilize as pickleball courts. And so now, though, on those ships, which is what we call the quantum class ships, which we'll get into in a minute as far as all the different activities. But it is our indoor facility that has all different types of sporting in there, which is indoor basketball. It is also our venue that we use for bumper cars. Yes, we have bumper cars on our ships. In that indoor area, we do have the 3 pickleball courts, because that's how large it is. And so, it's very exciting to actually have all these pickleball courts on board all of our ships.
Oh my God. Number one, that's hilarious. On every ship. And it's just think of like how valuable the space is on a ship. And then we're just saying pickleball is this important. We're taking shit away. We're putting pickleball on here. That is so funny. And also, I just love the idea of like people being on cruises, and then there's just like someone who has had 4 pina coladas and it's 9 a.m. and then they're right next to somebody like aggressively playing pickleball, like the active versus the... That's so funny. What other activities are getting outfitted or making their way to cruise ships?
Ooh, okay, so we have quite a number of different activities on board our ships, and depending on how small or how large the ship is, will depend on how many different activities we have on board, right? I mean, some of our ships are small as something where we can have about 2,100 passengers on board, versus our Oasis class ships where you can have about 6,000 people on board.
Damn
you're
it.
talking
That's
anywhere,
crazy.
tonnage wise, you're talking anywhere between, probably about 90,000 tons to 225,000, or really with Wonder of the Seas coming out at 237,000 tons. And when Icon
crazy.
comes out, that will be our biggest ship that comes out next year. But I mean, we have everything from, pickleball, basketball. We have in the C-Plex, which is where I was saying that we have the bumper cars. We'll have bumper cars, basketball, and then also, of course, the pickleball courts there as well. We have things like Flow Rider. Flow Riders found on many of our ships, not on all of our ships, but it is found on most of our ships. Flow Riders, where you're able to kind of get on either a boogie board or like a mini size surfboard type of deal. For those that are more advanced, they can do the standing up and surf along these, this water coming at you at, I don't know how many miles per hour, but it is really neat. It's something, really great for families, kids, adults as well.
I've always wanted to try that.
Oh, I love Flow Rider. It's really great, but you definitely have to know how to drop and roll once that wave takes you. So,
But we also have annihilated.
Oh no, it's fun. It's great. I'm telling you, even my daughter, who's 11 years old, has tried it, and she has a great time on it. So I'm sure you could do it, Connor Ann.
That's gonna make me feel worse knowing that once I go on and don't do it good. His 11-year-old daughter could do it, and I couldn't. Damn.
But we also have rock climbing, miniature golf. We have laser tag. Laser tag is really interesting because that is actually, so on some of our ships, I'd say probably about on at least half the fleet, we actually have something called Studio B. And Studio B is kind of like, really most of our venues is a multi-purpose venue space, right? Studio B is our ice skating ring. So yes, we do have ice skating on board where, of course, kids and those young at heart are able to come on and put on some ice skates and try ice skating. But at night, what's really great is we have an ice skating show. And this is really spectacular because, before in the past, it was just all about, the theater shows, right? And we take our theater shows even to the next level because we have a partnership with Broadway. So we do have Broadway musicals on some of our ships. And those Broadway musicals could be anywhere from Cats, Grease, Mamma Mia. And we now actually just announced on Icon of the Seas, which is coming out next year, we will bring on Wizard of Oz on board that ship. So, but going back to Studio B, where we have these ice skating shows, it's just a really another great venue to add some of that entertainment at night, and the ice skaters, the professional skaters that we contract to come on board to do these shows, are all ex-professional ice skaters. I mean, you have some of our ice skaters actually just last year was in the Winter Olympics, which was really neat to see. He was one of the speed skaters, so it was really great to see him also on board our ships. And then we have also our aqua theater shows. So on something like a Wonder of the Seas or an Oasis class ship, you have these three different types of shows. Now, the aqua theater show, I know you're thinking, well, what's that all about? So that is something actually really neat. Yeah. So if you can look at that, that's kind of the back of the aqua theater, and you see the stadium seating as well. The aqua theater right here, though, this is a pool where we have an aqua show. It's a water show, basically. So you have high divers coming off from about 50 feet up in the air, jumping into a very tiny pool and doing this really astronomical. I mean, just a phenomenal show that you would normally. It's almost think of it as a Cirque du Soleil type show where you would normally pay anywhere from probably about $80 to $120 a person to go see a spectacular show like this. Where here, of course, it's something that's included, which is really great.
Hey, Frank, is the ship anchored when they're diving into the tiny pools, or is
Great question.
No, stop.
Yeah, we are fully sailing. There's also during that show, there's actually somebody on a high wire walking across a line there, 50, 60 feet
What?
up in the air. I mean, it's really just a phenomenal show to go see once when you're on board. It's definitely something you don't want to miss, and it's great. All of our shows are typically 45 minutes to an hour long, so it's great because people then can go see multiple shows a night. Then you'll see an aqua theater show and a theater show, or an aqua theater show and and an ice skating show. So lots to
Oh
definitely
my
do on board.
gosh.
And aside from that, remember, we also have casinos on board. We have
Of course.
karaoke bars. We have boleros on some of our ships, which is our Latin-themed music bar where you can, of course, go do your salsa and your merengue all night. And we even have
That's
on
fun.
some of our ships, which is our quantum class ships, we do have iFly. So, of course, that's the
Oh, that's cool.
indoor
The indoor
skydiving.
skydiving?
Yes. Yeah. We have that on our
What?
ships. So you name it, we
Oh
have
my
it.
gosh.
We definitely think ourselves as the innovators in coming out with kind of the newest and greatest that's out there, as far as entertainment goes, and we definitely don't hold back when it comes to entertaining our guests.
That's unbelievable. I'm thinking of these like athletes that you guys contract to do these shows, and it's just like I bet a tightrope walker and a figure skater and a diver never thought at the beginning of their career that they'd work on a luxury cruise ship. That is really
yes.
a crazy trajectory for a figure skater. That's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, if you're a figure skater and you pour, age 10 to 18, figure skating, you age out around what? In your early 20s? Like, if
That's
you're
sad.
lucky. So what do you do for the rest of your life? I guess I never really thought about it, but this is an option for those people should they want to continue to skate. They at least could do so on a ship, which is super interesting. I actually saw one of the ice skatings at sea on a royal ship, and I text my wife and I was like, "You'll never believe what I'm doing. I'm watching ice skating." And she literally texted me back and she was like, "Shut up." And so I had to prove it with a picture because in her mind, she would never think like a ship that's moving at sea. It's hot,
Yeah,
it's sunny,
in
but then there's a
anyone's
little
mind.
ice skating rink.
That's
so
incredible.
It was really neat. And the performers were actually world class. Like I was kind of dazzled by how good these people were. They were like really, really good. And I actually thought they were like, they looked Olympic level because it was beyond just, people just putting on like a corny show. It was like a high level production. I was like, these people are insanely talented.
And Kenny is
so it was
not
really cool.
easily dazzled, people. That's big. That's big.
That's true.
Well, and even on some of those productions, real quick, even on some of those productions
Yeah.
with the ice skating, and now even with some of our theater shows, not the Broadway shows, but some of our other shows that we do, we've now even introduced drones into that whole production. And so to see drones inside an enclosed space, I mean, you got to have some high-tech technology in order to be able to do something like that. And it's just really amazes me the high caliber of entertainment that we have on board our ships to entertain all of our guests. It's really amazing.
Drones inside an ice rink on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's amazing. That's wild. Okay, so a little bit earlier, you mentioned the Icon. So Icon of the Seas, it's a monstrous ship. It's being constructed at the moment. She's scheduled to enter service in 2024. I was reading up on this because I don't know a damn thing about cruise ship tonnage, but it said the gross tonnage of Icon of the Seas will be 250,800, making her the largest cruise ship in the world by gross tonnage. So can you tell us about her, the Icon? I love that the internet labeled the ship of her. I love that so much.
You know what?
And what does this even mean, being the largest ship in the world by tonnage?
Yeah, and we tend to do that, every time a ship comes out, it seems lately, trying to be the biggest and the largest. But it's not just being about the biggest and the largest ship out there, right? It's about, how much entertainment that we can offer, and what other things can we offer on board our ships, right? Because it's not just the
Right.
entertainment; it's the culinary experience. It's and really for us, we kind of call it the wow factor, right? And we've now turned that not only into the ship itself, but also even some of the destinations that we visit as well, and which we'll get to that later on if we want to talk about kind of our private island destinations. But
Yes, please.
Icon she is going to be quite the ship. I would say she's still being built, so there's still actually a lot of information coming at us as far as some of the new bars and restaurants and some of those ideas that are going to be coming out. There is they're kind of putting on kind of taking two ideas from a couple of ships and integrating them into one. And so, we do have the ice skating on board, but instead of being in a U-shaped, it's kind of like in a circle. And so you do have a full view all the way around. We actually have quite the number of pools. Actually, we have the largest water park at sea with Icon of the Seas, with 6 record-breaking water slides on board. We do also have, like I said, a number of different pools on board this ship. One of the pools actually that we're really excited about, just because of kind of what it looks like. So we're going to have 7 pools on this ship, featured on 5 different decks, which is very different because normally our pools are just located, up on like deck 13, 14, 15. So here you're going to have pools on various different deck levels. But there is one pool which caught my attention right away when I was looking at, at how they're building this ship, which is actually a pool that kind of is up on, I believe, like deck 14 or 15, but it's suspended in the air. So there's nothing underneath it except down below where we actually have one of our other neighborhoods. So, I mean, it's really, really amazing, the amount of innovation that's coming onto the ship. So we're really excited, for Icon to come out. We actually have something new as well that's going to be coming out on this ship, which is called the Crown's Edge. So this is kind of like going old school, walking the plank right off the side of the ship. So it is
I love pirates.
I mean, just imagine it's something where you're of course tethered up, to a rope up top, and you're kind of walking on this plank that's off the side of the ship, so overlooking the water. And then at one point, that plank does actually drop, and then it zip lines you kind of back onto the ship. That's just amazing. I mean,
No
I can't.
Oh, that's so
I'm a
cool.
thrill seeker. I'm not one like. And my wife and I are complete opposites, right? So she's the more laid back, chill, which this is all of that. Icon is thrill, chill, and has all those different aspects. I'm the thrill guy, so I love to go find these different thrills on board, and I can't wait to be able to do something like this. We have zip lining already on our Oasis class ships, and of course I've done that. That zip line is, just about 10 decks high up, and you're doing that over the boardwalk on an Oasis class ship. So, I mean, you name it, we pretty much have it on board our ships.
That's crazy. Oh my God. The idea of walking the plank sounds like so much fun to me. And I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're married to, you can't have 2 death-defying people in the marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really funny. Frank, let's get into a little bit of what you do. So obviously we work in corporate incentives and meetings and things like that. Tell us about your position at Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, so I'm the corporate sales manager, and I don't even know if it's for the Southeast, but let's just say the South something, right? Because I have a very weird belt. Well, I cover 5 states, but it's not the Southeast, so it's the South, let's say, right? So I cover the state of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. There's
Right.
4 of us corporate sales managers. So my other counterparts are the Midwest, the West, and then of course the Northeast. But she starts from Georgia and then heads all the way up. And so my job really kind of has a lot of moving parts to it, right? As a corporate sales manager, or in this realm, also known as business development managers. It depends what company you're at. We're called something different. But in my
Right.
world, corporate sales manager, we're in charge really of managing number one, of course, our accounts that are currently doing business with us, and whether that's an incentive house, a meeting planner, or corporate direct, it's staying in touch with them, building upon those relationships.
Yeah.
Of course, training as well. As far as the newest and some of the changes that we're having, new itineraries, new ships, and at the same time as well, finding new business with those partners, right? A lot of times we attend certain conferences with these partners in order to, of course, continue to grow the business. So aside from that and doing sales calls, and visiting accounts in these different states, working on contracts and proposals,
Yeah.
traveling as well with my clients, sometimes on our different programs. Luckily, we do have a set of what we call account executives that typically will sail on some of our larger and more meeting intense type groups. But
Right.
other times, when we're looking to do what's called a sight sailing, where basically the client is looking to sail on board the ship for 3 or 4 months, sometimes 6 months prior to the actual sailing, to kind of experience everything, see firsthand what everything's going to be like on board, but they actually want to sail on the sailing, then I will sometimes sail with them as well, unless the account executive is not available.
Kenny, let's
And then, of
do
course,
it.
let's do it.
And then
we
we
also
become an
do.
account executive?
Yeah. Let's go sight
Um,
sail.
Right. And then we also do day sites as well. So kind of like a hotel, with hotels and planners wanting to go see the hotel during the day. We kind of have the similar thing. They're called day sites, where we will have the planner or the planner and the client, or just the client, come meet me on board the ship. We'll, head on board typically by about 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll walk around the ship, seeing the cabins, all the public areas, kind of seeing as well, where their meetings are going to take place, where their cocktail parties are going to take place and everything. And then we'll have lunch on board, and then we'll get off the ship by about 2:30, 3 o'clock, just before the ship takes off as well. So just keep in mind, the ships
Cool.
are only in port for a certain number of hours before the ship has to leave again. And as crazy as that sounds, we are typically coming in by about 6:30 in the morning into port, starting to let everybody who was on that last cruise by about 7:30 in the morning, and then starting boarding with a whole new set of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 passengers by 11:30 and 11 or 11:30 in the morning. So, and then setting sail again at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, if you can imagine the logistics behind something like this,
I can't.
it's pretty amazing just to
That's
think about the turn.
unreal.
How our team is cleaning cabins, getting everybody off, getting new people on, and then of course getting on board, of course, all of our different food needs and everything. I mean, it's a machine, right? It just keeps on going week in and
Yeah.
week out.
I get overwhelmed watching the yacht turn around on below deck, so I can't even. Don't even get me started on a cruise ship.
Multiply that by 1,000, and that's exactly what it is.
I know, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yes, Royal Caribbean has a super strong presence in the corporate travel market. So, what are the benefits for a company looking to do a meeting on a cruise ship?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's really a lot of benefits, and especially for those that are, already looking at, let's say, all-inclusive resorts. They're looking at hotels where, maybe budget is something that they're struggling against lately, especially with high cost in F&B and high cost in AV. That's the great thing about going on a ship, right? Is that all your meals are included, your basic AV is included. So on most of our ships, and I say most because out of the 26 ships that we have, there's only 4 in the fleet that does not have a dedicated conference center. Right, so most of our ships have a dedicated conference center where you're going to find, whether it has 1 room, 2 rooms, or 4 rooms, that you can do breakouts, or you can have one nice large room where you can fit anywhere, typically, I would say between 100 to 400 people in these conference rooms, right? And so what's great is that for those that are in that realm where they need to have a lot of meeting space, or let's say 4 breakout rooms, those, for those types of groups, it's a great kind of option for them to look at a cruise option, because we have cruises anywhere from 3 days all the way up to 7-8 day cruises, right? For the most part, we have longer cruises as well, but if for the most part, corporate meetings anyways are looking usually between 3 to 5 days, right? That they're doing their meetings. And we do have a lot of our fleet throughout the US and even abroad that do cruises of 3 to 5 nights, 3 night, especially over a weekend, Monday to Friday, or Friday to Monday, and then your weekday cruises usually sailing out Monday to Friday. But like I said, I mean, this is when you think about a ship and where you're going to have your general sessions, where you're going to have your breakouts. The great thing about us is, we have places like the theater. Places like Studio B, the theater can accommodate 1,400 people in there. Studio B can accommodate anywhere between 700 to 900 people in there. And so you can have these really great general sessions in some of these areas where what we like to call think outside of the ballroom, right? So now you're in a theater, you're in an ice skating ring, holding your general session, and it's really amazing to kind of see that transformation come on board to have these meetings. And the biggest thing when you're comparing the two, right, land versus sea, a lot of the time you'll see that we're actually at a 30% cost savings towards land, especially once you start adding all the F&B minimums or the AV costs that happen on land.
Yeah.
And then set aside from that, real quick. So set aside from that, you have to also think about, okay, when you're at a hotel, right, you have your meetings, but at night, what are you doing, right? You have to entertain those guests.
Drinking.
Right? You have to, whether it be drinking or sending them, somewhere else off property to entertain them, bringing in, entertainers, music, shows, you name it. You're going to Vegas and you have to then buy tickets to maybe go include a show somewhere. Well, here it's all encompassed, right? You have the entertainment included already for those guests, for those attendees. And so really for the corporate meeting and set aside, it's really just a great value to be able to have all of these activities, team building activities, shows, all encompassed into one place where you don't have to worry about taking them, and the logistics that go behind that, and then of course the cost savings as well.
I was just thinking that. I was like, having everybody in one location, not having to do shuttles and all of that nonsense. That's got to be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And with for all of our meeting planning partners, we've had a lot of complaints over the course of the last year, how the hotels are sticking it to them with food and beverage minimums and all these extra fees. So it's your cost basis is far beyond just what a room night is. And, places like Vegas can spiral out of control with expense budgets and expensive dinners. It is nice from a budgetary and planning perspective to know that I'm going to send these 100 people on an incentive trip. And if they go on a cruise, I know what my fixed price is going to be, more or less. Where there's some locations in America where you could think that you're going to be in for $100,000 program or $1 million program, and then you could get that final bill and be off by 10, 20, 30%. So sailing is definitely a nice option. You know what you're going to get.
Exactly. We definitely have the ability to do that, where we can include drink packages. We can include our Voom Wi-Fi packages. We can include, specialty dinner buyouts. It doesn't have to go that far, of course, because remember, dining is included. So you are typically dining in the restaurant for dinner as a group. So if you're a group of 100, 200, 300, we'll set aside those 10, 20, 30 tables in the dining room every evening. And it's a great moment for, as well, the attendees to come back after a day, maybe being out in the Bahamas, being out in St. Thomas, being out on one of these different islands, and, being separated from the group, to then at the end of the night coming back all together and talking about their experience, or talking about the seminars that they just had that day, and building around upon that camaraderie as well, and networking as well for some of our other groups, where maybe they're not seeing their counterparts because they're all around the nation.
All right, I have the inside baseball on this, but I love all things bougie. So Frank was telling me when I was on the ship, I was like, give me the most expensive room here. What's that look like? And there's some pretty sick suites that are on Royal. So give me, if I want to blow all my money, what's the most expensive room that I could buy on Royal, and what do I get? Because I was looking through Google and I saw one with there's one that was fit for kids, and there was a slide inside of it, and it looked amazing. But I want to know, what is the most money that I could spend, and how crazy is that?
So I would say that, pre-Icon, you could end up going on Wonder of the Seas, right? Or one of our Oasis class ships, or Quantum class ships, where you can end up getting something that's called the Royal Loft Suite, which was, kind of our top of the level suite, right? And on Oasis class and Quantum class, we have these rooms that are 2 stories. Yeah. So if you think about kind of
now
like
we're talking.
Yeah, if you're thinking about kind of your top of the line condo, right, in New York City, where it's 2-story, you're overlooking the water, or in this case, kind of overlooking the city. You have that separation of a living room, dining room, downstairs with a beautiful balcony. But then there's, of course, like Kenny was saying, something like our Ultra Family Suite, where you have a slide. It's not a water slide, but it is a dry slide. It is great for families, where you have upstairs is the bedrooms. You have the main bedroom, of course, for the parents, the separate bedroom for the kids. There's a slide that comes down into the living room. So you name it, we definitely have it on board some of these ships. But now, though, you can really kind of get to another level on Icon of the Seas, where we have something that is called the Ultimate Family Townhouse. Yes, as you can imagine, I mean, this is a 3-story townhouse, and it is our probably largest, most expensive suite now that we have on board any of our ships. It is pretty amazing.
Kenny, are you seeing this
is like 30 grand. Yeah, give us. Oh my God, this is amazing. So we'll overlay it if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. But I'm looking at YouTube, and there's a bunch of little tutorials and stuff. So we'll overlay it. But what's this going to set me back? 30, 40 grand for the week?
Per person. So, for instance, I was actually, as we're talking right now, I was multitasking and looking to see when we even have one available, because there is only one. And you would be amazed how, some of these top suites, they're the first things to go, because since they know that there's only one of them, especially our avid past cruisers, they love to take advantage of some of these suites that we have available. So, but looking at, for instance, January of 2025, yes, we booked that far in advance. But we, right now, for instance, we are open to sale, open for sale all the way through about April of 2025. And looking at this suite, at this townhouse suite, you're looking at just around $72,000 for 2 people in this suite. During during that time
For
period.
those of you,
That's wild.
listening that can't see, this is a 3-story. Let's not call it a suite because it looks like a home.
It's a townhouse. Yeah, it really is.
It's a
Situated
townhouse, yeah.
right at the corner of the ship. So you have like insane views. It looks so luxurious and colorful and fun. Like it looks like a super, super expensive like loft in New York City. This is crazy.
Exactly it. Exactly it. And that's really, for 2 adults in a cabin, right? I mean, once you start adding the 3rd, 4th, 5th, I mean, that suite can accommodate, if I'm not mistaken, about 8 or 9 people in the cabin. I think it may be even actually up to 10. But when you're talking about then the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th guests, they actually come at a much more discounted rate. For instance, on that January 11th date, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, it's not necessarily because they're kids, just because you're adding more people in the cabin. They're actually just running at $1,100 a person. So there is highly
why
discounted
spoil that
rates.
with kids? You know,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. Don't worry about
Listen,
any
if you're
kids.
gonna ball out, I mean, do you know what the pro move is now? You just book this. I would assume there's a deposit, but that's what credit cards are for. You book this now and you hope for hyperinflation, right? So if the world banking system is going to fall apart, this would be a really good bet because you can get in now, and then when hyperinflation takes off, $72,000 may be nothing.
Is it predicted to fall apart?
There's a chance.
Maybe, but just maybe. I'm now adding, dry water slides into my architecture for my future home. I want all of the bedrooms and kitchen, everything to be connected by slides. This is inspiring.
Could you imagine that you're just cooking dinner and then you're like, Connor, I need help in the basement. And then you just slide down into the basement.
That'd be so
cool.
efficient. Oh my God. Be there in literally 1 second.
No, there's everybody's thinking, wow, so these are, really, really high costs, for some of these suites. But I'll tell you that some of these suites on Oasis and Quantum class, we kind of separate them between what our suite class levels are here, right? And we call it the Royal Suite class, and right. So there is the Star class, the Sky class, and the C class, right? So the C class being our junior suites, where you'll be able to dine at Coastal Kitchen, which is a restaurant specifically just for our suites. They get Royal Caribbean bathrobes for use on board. They get luxury pillow top mattresses, luxury bathroom amenities, and Lavazza Espresso coffee machines. Now you go to the Sky suites, right, which is kind of the middle tier of suites, and you get concierge service, all day access to Coastal Kitchen, you get internet included, priority boarding, priority departure, priority dining reservations, suite lounge access to the suite sun deck, and then of course everything else that's included in the C class. Then you go to the Star class, which is where the Royal Loft Suite and this townhouse suite is, right? And here's where it really kind of takes it up another notch. You have exclusive access to something that's called the Royal Genie service. And if you've ever experienced a Royal Genie, it's literally what it sounds like. I mean, it's having your own butler and this genie. Whenever you need something, whenever you ask for anything, they are there. Without it's almost like rubbing a lamp where you don't even know that you ask for something and bam, they're right there. It's really amazing. This type of service that you do receive, once on board and into one of these classes of suites. But you also end up getting not only, do you get that royal treatment, you do have all day access to Coastal Kitchen, complimentary specialty restaurants, complimentary drink package, refreshment package. You get still and sparkling water replenished daily in your room, complimentary gratuities. You get the Voom included, which is the Wi-Fi, and then everything else basically that's included in the Sky and Sea is included in the Star class. So lots of lots of benefits that are included in these suite classes.
Yeah, tons of amenities. I'm obsessed with relabeling the butler to the Royal Genie. I'm obsessed with that. That is perfect. That is amazing. Okay, can I ask you some tech questions? So
Oh boy.
as like,
Hopefully I can answer
you
them.
know, yeah, no, it shouldn't be too crazy. This is more just like general questions about what you guys are doing. So as tech startup nerds, we're super interested in your new additions to the cruise experience. So Royal Caribbean has made like significant investments in technology, like the Ocean Medallion, which is the AI infused like wearable device to improve guest experience.
Mm-hmm.
How has technology impacted the way Royal Caribbean operates, and like what innovations are on the horizon? Do you know?
Yeah. So good question. There is, one of the things that, which of course now I'm going to blank out because you asked me that off the cuff. But for Voom, which is our internet, we did actually recently partner up with Kenny. Help me out, because I know you.
Starlink.
Oh,
Starlink,
Starlink.
thank you. See, I knew I was going to blank out. Yeah,
Amazing.
we now actually
I
have
was going to ask
Starlink
about that.
on
Yep.
board all of our ships. Yeah, and that really is going to be a game changer as far as internet and the Wi-Fi capabilities and making sure that the Wi-Fi doesn't have any interruptions, or at least has the least amount of interruptions because of Starlink. And so we're always trying to improve the Wi-Fi capabilities on board all of our ships, especially because we
Yeah.
travel around the world. We don't only travel in the Caribbean. We're not just in Alaska. We're also sail in the Med. We sail, of course, out of Australia. We sail
Yeah.
out of Asia. With our Singapore and China departures, and so. Definitely always wanting to look for ways to keep people connected that want to stay connected, right? Not everybody does,
Yeah.
but of course
And
we know that some people need to for work and everything, and so it's definitely important to us and important to our guests. While we
yes,
don't have
with all
anything
this,
for, go ahead.
oh, go for it. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, while we don't have anything like the medallion, I did see something interesting, and I'm not going to be able to talk about it because like I said, it was the first time I actually ever saw anything like it on board. It just happened to be that I saw it literally just a couple of weeks ago while I was doing a site inspection on Odyssey of the Seas, which is our ship that's sailing currently right now here out of Fort Lauderdale. It is one of our Quantum class ships. It's the newest, actually, Quantum class ship. And I did see something like that. I saw it was like a wristband type thing that looked like the Ocean
Yeah.
Medallion. But I was walking too quickly with the client, but I did see like a full poster board ask us about this, and so it's something that I have to find out about and see what exactly that is. But I'm sure that we are getting to that point where we want to, of course, be able to maximize AI, of course, for our guests and what their likes and dislikes are, and just really at the end of the
Yeah.
day, be able to better serve them on board and and have those enhanced abilities, to better their experience on board.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, wait. Last thing I want to know. Tell me about these private island destinations.
Oh,
What is
geez.
the
Okay.
deal?
It's our destination that we've had now open for quite some time, but it is our island in the Bahamas. It is our private island destination where you have a water park with the tallest water slide, in the Caribbean. You have a wave pool. You have up and away, which is kind of a balloon that kind of goes up, which is of course tethered down. But you're able to jump on that ride.
Which
We have
is, of
zip
course,
lining.
tethered down.
I mean, it's a really amazing little island, and we do have Cocoa Beach Club, which is kind of a private area where you do have to pay to get into, but it has an elevated lunch experience as well with full Maine lobster, grouper, and then also does have an infinity pool there. So just kind of more of the quieter area to be at. And then we have, of course, our famous cabanas, where we have cabanas on the beach, cabanas by the pool. And then we have, of course, cabanas over the water. And those seem to be our most popular cabanas that we have, here on the island. But like I said, there's so much to do here, on this island, whether you want to chill and relax and lay by the pool or be by the beach, or of course, be with your children, or, like myself, be young at heart and go into the water park. We definitely have that available for them. And destinations like this is what we continue to strive to do. We're also looking to we actually just completed kind of signing a project over in Nassau, Bahamas, right there, right by Paradise Island. So if you've ever been to Nassau, we're going to actually have a new destination that's going to be built just for us. It's off on the left-hand side, that little small strip of land that was okay. So if you come into Nassau, you have like the 6 or 7 docks there. You have I'm going to go like this. You have the city over here to the right, and then off on the left, kind of where you can see Atlantis off in the distance, you actually have a little strip of land, and we're planning to, kind of build a whole destination there for our guests, and then I believe that opens up actually in 2025. So very excited for some of these
Very
projects to come to fruition.
Yeah, a lot of new things coming in the next couple of years for Royal Caribbean. Super exciting.
Absolutely.
Okay, are you ready for your final question?
Absolutely. Take it away.
I was hoping you'd say that. So you're on Travel Nerds. What are you a nerd about? You can't say cruises. That's cheating. What are you a nerd about, Frank?
Oh, boy. Geez, what am I a nerd about? Well, set aside from cruising, obviously, I would probably say, probably set aside from cruising and traveling. And I'll say that real quick, and then I'll tell you my personal, right? So traveling has always been really, at the core of myself and really in growing up. I've been lucky enough that my father was a banker, and he traveled quite a bit, and he would take us, quite often. My father lived actually in Singapore. So I've been to Singapore, been to China, been to Australia, been to a lot of different countries, continents, where I could say that maybe some others have not been. And I've been lucky enough to experience some of those different destinations. And it's something that we strive to do with our family and our kids, and make sure to engulf them also in those different cultures, because I think that's, some of the way, sometimes the best way to learn, and the best way to experience different cultures and broaden your horizons as people, right? And who we are, and learning to love one another, and just be a better person in general. But aside from that, football is definitely something that I would say I'm a pretty big nerd of, or I'm passionate about. I've somebody tells me, Frankie, you really need to stop running, or you need to stop playing. But it's in my DNA. I've actually had 6 knee surgeries due to playing football or due to running. Some very active.
Dude.
I am a marathon runner, half marathon runner. I just ran actually a half marathon with my son recently. So exercising is definitely one of my other key components.
Oh my God. So you're a nerd about
woosah.
knee surgeries.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh my God. That is crazy. Well, you know what? If staying active is going to kill me, what a way to go. I definitely go too hard sometimes, and I'm like, it's for my health. If trying to be healthy kills me, that's just the way I'll go. Well, Frank, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on and telling us all about Royal Caribbean. It was really fun talking to you.
Absolutely. No, and I appreciate you all, appreciate the opportunity. Kenny, thank you again for the invite. And hopefully all the travel nerds out there learned something new today. But if not, of course, always check us out on RoyalCaribbean.com or RoyalCaribbeanIncentives.com, and you can see everything that we have to offer for, of course, your corporate meeting and incentive business.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here first. Take a Royal Caribbean cruise. I will be there on the pickleball court or the waterside. or the buffet, because that's my favorite part about being on a cruise is just eating my body weight in the buffet food. But anyways, we are at Travel Nerds Pod on Instagram and TikTok, travel_nerds on Twitter. You can watch the episodes on YouTube. It's just Travel Nerds, and we'll see you next week. Later, nerds.